Hello, YouTube! Today I wanted to talk to you about your flaming brakes of death. Now, it is not completely likely that your car is going to leave the road in a fiery ball of twisted steel in the immediate future. However, there are a few things that you should be aware of, especially if your steering wheel is trying to play the Death Wobble Symphony when you go to apply the brakes. Today I wanted to talk to you about your braking system, and, more specifically, the front rotors and pads. And while there are a bazillion types of pads to choose from, the parts professional at your local AutoZone probably sold you the wrong ones. Again. Your brake pulsation and undulation issues may come down to your driving skills, or lack thereof. But don't worry, your car or local law enforcement agencies will correct you on your bad driving habits sooner than later. Now, there are numerous components in the front brake caliper that can cause premature brake wear and rotor warpage. First off, the brake pad hardware can become contaminated, causing the pad to drag on the rotor and thus overheating and warping the rotors. The spreader springs may not have been installed properly, and again, the pads will drag against the rotor. The guide pins could become contaminated or seized over time, and although this would probably just eat the material on the inner or outer pad surface, resulting in a metal on metal, "I think my brakes are squealing" sound, in the meantime, they will become warped, and it all comes down to the surface clearance between the rotor and the pad. Sometimes it's visually apparent that the rotors have a severe degree of warpage, and that you either think you're Richard Petty or you're just a bad Uber driver. But sometimes they look fine, and we have to trust our diagnostic instinct as to whether or not it's justified to replace the whole get-up. Which leads me to a diagnostic technique that I try to use as frequently as possible and that you may not be savvy to. But buyer beware, this technique usually proves conclusive, however, in this example, it failed me. If the customer is complaining of a wobbling steering wheel upon braking and the rotors don't look like they have unusual hot spots, it would be advantageous to inspect all of the suspension and steering components along with tire wear and roundness. I will usually secure the vehicle and carefully jam it into gear, letting the wheel in question spool up, whilst taking a slow motion video with the steady hand of a Norse god. Please note that the rotor face appears to be rotating on a smooth and steady plane. Usually you will be able to see a variance in the surface plane of 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch. But not so much this time. I did inspect the steering and suspension and found nothing too suspicious, so I decided to replace the front brake package. And to confirm there was in fact rotor warpage, I decided to throw the rotors on a brake lathe. And aside from the gouging grooves I embedded in the rotor face trying to press a record of my greatest hits, this surface deviation of 7 to 8 thousandths is what I found. So, to conclude my misadventures of the day, you can try this camera slow-mo trick for numerous things like timing engine noises against rotating pulleys and camshafts, or as in this example, failing at confirming that you have a warped rotor when you're working on a 2011 Honda Pilot, and apparently they all came from the factory warped. Thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, please hit the subscribe button and give it a big fat thumbs up. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you on the other side.